One of the questions that bugged me from an early point in the development of the Haweaters had to do with baking, and specifically how those early European settlers to Manitoulin Island had made leavened products like breads and cakes and cookies when they had very limited access to conventional leaveners such as yeast or baking powder or baking soda. The simple answer is that they relied on fermentation, and that's what allowed them to craft what we would now know as sourdough baking. Unlike yeast breads that could be cranked out in a matter of hours, fermented breads, in their simplest form, would be created over several days during which the dough was left out in the kitchen to sour by capturing the yeasts and bacteria that are naturally present in the air. However, much better results were achieved by first fermenting just about any fermentable substance that came a settler's way before mixing it into the flour. Fruit was popular in ferments, as were hops. On Manitoulin Island, hawthorn berries often did the trick. There are even stories of settlers scraping the inner bark from ironwood trees. However they did it, beginning with a ferment meant that bread started one day could be baked the next, as long as the kitchen remained relatively warm during the duration. The colder a kitchen was, the longer it would take the dough to sour. Non-bread baked goods such as cakes and cookies would also be made more or less the same way, but they often had rising times of shorter duration. It's no wonder baking was often done in large batches once a week. By the time all that fermenting was accomplished and the baked goods had been leavened to the point where they were ready to be baked, it would be time to start the whole process all over again. Granted, a great deal of that baking time would have been spent doing other chores, but it was still an arduous process that must surely have felt like a sentence. And for those of you who are wondering, baking bread in a wood stove isn't as tricky as it may at first seem to us modern bakers. Wood stoves were, and are, very good at maintaining a regulated temperature, and sourdough bread actually benefits from high heat. To this day, it's not uncommon for sourdough breads to be slung into ovens that have been heated to 500 degrees Fahrenheit or higher.